My name's Adele Onyango, and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 365 of Legally Clueless. Is that the number of days in a year? Anyway, this is what's coming up.
Because you'd hear other teens talking and be like, ew, why would anyone swim on their period? Yani, we're getting into the water after you've bled all inside it. And hearing other kids from different teams make these comments made me feel some type of way. I'm finally put on hormonal birth control to try and help manage the symptoms. Honestly, I didn't see much of a change. I was still having shit periods, but now it had even become worse. I noticed myself having pain throughout the month. Why do I have to be crying and puking and screaming and trying to sleep on the floor because I'm in so much pain? In my head I was thinking, maybe everyone's right. Maybe I just have to suck it up. I'm acting like I'm the first woman in the world to get a period.
That is Keziah's story. Part 1 is on the way a little later in this episode. We're going to jump into that. But first and foremost, welcome. If you are an OG member, you know I have nothing but love for you. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, welcome to the family. You're never too late to join. And all you have to know is that we've got tons of shows here. So number 1, subscribe wherever it is you're listening to this on so you don't miss out on any. On Mondays, we have this particular show going out. On Wednesdays, we have the midweek teas where I unpack different topics that I think could help you on your healing journey or topics that I've encountered on my healing journey. And the newsletter also goes out on Wednesdays. Thursdays, we have for Mannerless Women. And in case you missed it, we are currently in pre-production for season 4 of that show. So if you know a mannerless woman in your life, or you are the mannerless woman, and you want to nominate yourself or someone else to be in season 4, you need to get on that ASAP on our Instagram page. Okay. And then Fridays, we have a brand new show that you need to really check out. It's called Difference She Makes, where I discover in Kenya, Nigeria, and in South Africa, incredible African women in the legal space who are just changing shit. Hey! So yeah, you get to eat good. In this family. So make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel as well, because that's where For Mannerless Women and Difference She Makes can be watched. Are we good? Yes. All right, so let's jump into the story in today's episode. Keziah is coming on and she talks about something. In fact, I don't want to preempt it. I'm going to come back after you listen to part 1 because there's a lot we have to unpack, hey? But ideally, she is talking about her reproductive health. She's talking about her periods. And I have some thoughts on some things that we were made to believe were true about our periods that really aren't. But first, listen to her story. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
My name is Keziah Mumbi. I was born in Kijabe Hospital. I've always been a Kiambu native, born and bred, just different neighborhoods of Kiambu. I've been raised by a single mother who has been my rock, my support, my entire life. When I had my first period, I don't know that to say I was excited or what, but to me, I felt like, wow, I finally have become a woman. I was about 12 years old, I'd say, because I was in class 6. And I'd say my joy quickly turned into worry. Because when we discuss these things with other girls, oh, how's yours like? Or we'd share pads or whatever. And everyone else would be using the really light ones. And I'd have to be using heavy duty. Actually, I started out with medium pads. Because, I was 12. My mom was thinking, yeah, this is what any young girl at her age uses. But I'd find that I'd go through them so fast. My school uniform consisted of a turquoise blue dress So the first couple of months, I noticed that I would stain very easily. We'd have double lessons. So I'd change my pad, and then after the double lesson, I go to the bathroom. I've stained my dress. And I kept having this accidents over and over again until, it becomes embarrassing also as a young girl because, I mean, girls at that age are like, yo, what's wrong? You're not changing your pads often enough. And I'd be like, no, I am. I really am. And I found out I'd be going through like a packet of medium pads a day. The always medium, I think back then before the whole controversy with them using plastic materials. So always also I go to the medium pink ones. I'd go through about a packet of that a day. And I didn't think much of it. I just thought maybe I'm not changing enough. So it also made me very insecure. That's when now my period shame began because I ended up being in so much pain. I'd always be panicked sitting in class thinking, what if my pad is feeling right now? So every time I'd have to run to the bathroom, peek, just to make sure I don't stain. And I think, yeah, as girls, we're pretty clueless. So I didn't know what was happening with me. It had gotten to a point where I'd have to now layer the mediums. Until my mom found out I was doing this. And she was like, no, now we have to get you to the heavy ones. And I moved to that. But that kind of helped. I wasn't changing as often, but I was still so insecure because people in school would call them like a diaper pad, very heavy and bulky, especially for a girl your age at that particular age, 12, 13. But it is what it is. I just had to use them. As more time went by, I now started having complications, pain, vomiting, and that's when I started showing the earlier signs of anemia because I was losing so much blood every month. I would pray to God just to end my periods. So yeah, I'm here taking painkillers, what. Still, I was still so ashamed to talk about it. So I wasn't talking to teachers. I didn't know how to ask my classmates because they just only talk about like, oh, there was that time Kezia stained while we were sitting in this class or what class, and oh gosh. And I guess yeah, we didn't have as much information about what was going on. In my mind, I just thought maybe as I grow older, things will ease down. Maybe it's a part of womanhood that I have I have no idea about. Maybe this is what womanhood is about, going through your periods and having to deal with this pain and puking and losing so much blood. Fast forward and I find myself in boarding school in Form 1 and I guess yeah, the shock of it was really scary. But again, same thing happens. I'm having very painful periods. And I noticed as the years went by, the worse the period seemed to get. So I've come from primary where it's just a bit of puking, but a lot of pain, losing a lot of blood, to now crossing over to high school where it's double the pain, double the puking, to a point where I'd have to go sleep in the nurse's office for the first 2 days of that period, just because I could not handle it. At some point, I think I got malnourished because my mom came to see me and my family noticed that I had become gaunt. My lips had a tinge of blue. I was pale, almost yellowish. There was no blood in my fingernails. I just looked sickly. So that's when they decided, okay, maybe, this period thing is a lot more serious than we thought. Because she's losing so much blood. She has to be in bed. That's missing 2 whole days of classes. And it would get to the point where even if a teacher would be mad and be like, no, why does she get to sleep in the sanatorium? Let her go to class. I'd sit in class and just be running out to puke, having to put my head on the desk, just looking super sick. So eventually I was moved from boarding to a day school. This is around Form 2. Form 2 now, I... Same thing happens actually, but it continues getting worse. At around this particular point, I joined the swim team. And honestly, the fitness aspect kind of helped because I noticed I wasn't getting such clots as much as I used to, but my period would still come hard and heavy. My coach would be like, just, we'd go for competitions. And if my period fell on a weekend of a competition, I wouldn't go. So my coach was like, why, why are you missing? Some of these races are actual really races. And I'd be like, no, I'm on my period. And she'd be like, put a tampon in and just, just go swim. And I'd put a tampon in, and there was a point I sat, I think, for a bit, and I stood up and I'd already messed myself. So that shame of like, oh God, now I can't swim during my period. Trying to navigate through that was also kind of tricky. So I'd find myself if because my coach was saying, no, you still have to go, but I'd end up messing my. So I told her, nah, honestly, I see myself just skipping these days when if it falls on a weekend when I'm on peace, I won't go. Because that's even more embarrassing because there's boys there. And I used to wear like a light blue costume and you found you've stained it. Super embarrassing. And also that, again, period shame. Because there's always this feeling of, people disgusted. Because you'd hear other teens talking and be like, ew, why would anyone swim on their period? Yani, we're getting into the water after you've bled all inside it. And hearing other kids from different teams make these comments made me feel some type of way. And I found it so hard to talk about my condition with anyone, even our coach. Because she'd be like, why can't you just wear the tampon and go? And I'd be like, oh, I'm still messing even with that inside me. And I also didn't know how to wear one. There was just so many issues there. So I decided to skip it altogether. And the pain and the fear of vomiting inside the pool, I was not down for that. So I used to skip. My condition just continues getting worse. So now this is Form 3. And we are getting now into, because we came from heavy cramps, little bit of puking, lots of bleeding, to now I can't, I can't sit in a classroom. I'd literally be screaming because it felt like someone was tearing my insides apart. I'd be screaming, I'd have to be held down, they'd have to call the ambulance for me, I'd have to be injected and sedated. So around this point now is when I'm finally taken to a doctor after such an episode. I don't even call it an episode actually, because it's normal. It was just an extremely painful period. And at this particular point, I was screaming because I was in so much pain. And people asked, I was screaming, I was crying, I was puking. I'm telling them, please just kill me now. I can't keep doing this. And it's just getting worse and worse. So my school now finally calls an ambulance and I'm taken to, was it AR? Yeah. And I'm talking to one of the doctors and she goes like, could you have endometriosis? I was like, what's that? And she goes, nah, you're too young. I don't think. Hey, at your age, how old are you? 16, 15? You can't have it. So I'm put on painkillers. And I'm now advised on the first day of my period, I now have to go to a pharmacy and get an injection. I'm trying to remember which particular painkiller that is. But now that became the routine. On the first day of every period, I'd have to go to the closest pharmacy or clinic and just get myself injected with painkillers. So now the rest of my period would be smooth. That happened, and we go to Form 4, still having the same issues. Now I'm becoming, what do you call it, almost immune to this, to these injections. But I'm fighting through it. I'm seeing doctors. My mom now starts taking me to different doctors, and they tell me you're going to be fine. Listen, you're just a young girl. Painful periods happen to anybody, yeah. They tell me you'll get over it. Kwanzaa, once you get your first baby, you'll never have to worry about a painful period again. And I'm thinking, damn, I'm like 17. How long will it take me to get my first baby for this condition to stop? I used to dread my period coming. I'd have to pray the first couple of days fall over on a weekend so that I can just be in bed the whole time. Because I was scared of staining. I was scared of, people would call it an episode. Because you're screaming, you're in pain, you just want it to stop. I was popping porn stans like they were candy. And I'm being told, wow, wait until you give birth, all the stress will stop. And despite all of that, I still felt like there was something wrong with me. I'm like, why do the rest of my friends have such normal periods? Why does mine have to be so dramatic? My friends were really supportive. We do something really silly. If I was having cramps, we do like stretches and like yoga poses. I really loved that support, but you also feel a bit ashamed. But I'm happy that, by time later high school years reach, it becomes very normal to talk about it. So I was asking my friends, what's wrong with me, guys? Why does it have to be like this? What's wrong with me? And they were really supportive, but we hadn't reached any diagnosis at this point. We're just saying, yeah, maybe it's just your body, maybe it's just genetic, maybe it's just the way it works. So that's when I was put on to hot water bottles and other various means of trying to ease the pain. So I'd always be seen with like a hot water bottle around my belly. Yeah, but from 4, we still don't have a diagnosis. I move on after, and yeah, college, same thing. But now at least I had the freedom to miss classes if I was having a period, which I don't know if that made it easier or worse. Around this time I meet boy. I start dating around, and I think it was hard to talk about it. Cause telling someone, I think especially after a time when you start becoming sexually active, telling someone, not this week, my period. Oh, and one thing I also noticed I didn't mention. I noticed that my period was significantly longer than everyone else's. Because my friends would tell me 4, 5, at most 5 days, it's done. I'd be like, me, sometimes I hit day 8, day 9, and it's still going. And people will be like, oh, that's weird. But we just said, what? It's just, hormonal condition. So right after I finished high school, I'm finally put on hormonal birth control. That's the combined pill, estrogen and progesterone, to try and help manage these symptoms. Honestly, I didn't see much of a change. I was still having shit periods. But now it had even become worse. I noticed myself having pain throughout the month. Yeah, just like a lingering, like dull pain that would get worse as my period neared. Didn't think much about it. The doctors were like, you don't worry, it's just a hormonal imbalance. At this point, I'm still seeing doctors. I'm still walking around everywhere trying to find a name for my condition. But everyone is telling me, you don't worry. It's maybe stress. It's maybe lifestyle. You're just going to be fine. Once you grow up, once you get older, it'll be gone. It's just a hormonal imbalance. They put me on the combined pill, which I was saying, yeah, I just have a dull pain. I'm dating around. I'm not enjoying sex as much as I should be because of that pain and, just putting on a face, whatever. And I just think to myself, damn, when is it going to end? Because you're just constantly having a lingering pain. I hate to say, but I just had to push through it. pushed through it for years and years. But when I'd have a really bad period, I'd be like, next month I have to see a different doctor. Go to another doctor, be told. It's it's just hormones. You'll be fine. Keep taking the pill. But I tell them I don't think the pill is doing what people think it's gonna do for me. Now I just have pain all the time instead of just on my pill. I was like, what's going on? And I'm telling them I noticed now it's even getting worse on the pill, or as time goes by, it's just getting worse and worse. No one wants to give me an answer. I ask them because this is around the time after I'd finished high school, after I had that paramedic in A1 saying in AR saying it could be endo. So I'm asking all these doctors, are you sure it's not endometriosis? They're like, nah, you're too young to have it. No, it can't be that. It's just hormones. You don't worry. If it's endo, trust, we're the ones who are going to tell you it's endo. So this ridiculousness goes on for years and years and years. I finish college, I start working. And I was always very fearful that this would affect my life in some way because I was so used to, if I'm in school, I have heavy cramps. This 1 week, I won't be seeing me. I'm gone. I'm in bed in pain, popping painkillers until I can fall asleep, wake up, fall asleep, and just try and shut the pain out. When you start working, you can't do that. And I'm like, damn, what am I going to do? I take the job anyway. And just as I predicted, that's my periods now come hot and heavy. And I try persevere, but I can't. I now start having to ask for sick days. 1 or 2 days every month. Or I'd try and be like, no, this month, let me not be like that. All these people are going to think I'm a slacker. Let me try push through. And I'd try sit and be like, yeah, let me work, let me do this thing. And it was a work I'd have to do with my hands. But by 12, I'd be like, I'd have puked somewhere. I'd be holding on to the walls, just crying, God, please. Until now, my female colleagues would be like, just go home. It's fine. And at this point, I was really lucky to have a HR who understood my condition. But unfortunately, it would not be like that for every job. There's some jobs I had where I was not, let's say, the best performing of employees. I worked in a call center, and when I had my periods, I'd be, completely off it for that day. I'll not be able to take calls. I had to sit through shifts. I'd constantly be having to stand and change my pads. So that kind of marked me as a slacker, let's say. Or I'd be on my desk crying or trying to sleep under the table or something. So when people got laid off, I was not surprised that I was part of at least, because that's what it had come to. And that company that I moved to, the call center, was mostly men as managers. So even if you tell your team leader, like, hey, I have cramps, they'd be like, everyone gets cramps. And that's also what kind of made me feel like I was such an anomaly. Because I'd be like, damn, everyone gets cramps. Why do I have to be so dramatic, Keziah? Why do I have to be crying and puking and screaming and trying to sleep on the floor because I'm in so much pain? In my head, I was thinking, maybe everyone's right. Maybe I just have to suck it up. I'm acting like I'm the first woman in the world to get a period. So, oh, Lord. Yeah, so I got laid off, bounced from work to work, and I was still finding these issues. I don't think I've ever kept a job for very long. Or I've never been considered a very fruitful employee, because they've all my managers will remember, yeah, when she says she has painful periods, now she acts like she can't work. Moved to a bank to do an attachment, same thing. I was called, uncooperative, lazy, same thing. Even there I had female managers and be like, this girl thinks she's the first woman in the world to get a period. Huh? Ati akipata peas lazima akae home. Ai, kwani hizo ni nini? Literally would hear in the female colleagues saying that, older female colleagues, that, these young girls nowadays, wanaonanga hizi period zao ni mbaya, no vile wanakulanga vibaya or something. So I'd be like, where, guy? It means that, in a basically direct translation of, like, these young girls nowadays think that their periods are so bad they have to stay at home, just having to suck it up. So in my mind, I thought, why can't I be normal? Yes, move to another job. Now in a factory, in a plant, let's say a refurbishment plant. How many jobs have I mentioned? So internships, attachment jobs, I'm just bouncing. I cannot seem to find one that can accommodate me with this rapidly worsening condition, where that during my periods I have to be home, I have to be in bed, or I have to just be in my chair and not move. Only taking breaks to just go change my pad. The pain is that bad. No one is willing to understand it. So I now go to a factory, guy. Lord, I think this was now one of the last jobs, maybe, or second last or something. In this place, I also don't know. My condition is now worsening, and it's the worst it's ever been. This is now where the fainting comes in, the extreme pain. I'm not really vocalizing it as much than I used to in high school. I wasn't used to it. I'm screaming and crying, but I just go sit in a corner and just break down. I'd have to be carried out. I was vomiting my lungs out, and I'm still trying to get the injections, but now I have to be put on a drip. I found a local doctor in that estate, because I'd moved out from home. Now, who every first day of my period or around the midpoint, he'd now have to put a drip on me just to deal with the pain, the puking, and everything, those symptoms. And same thing, people are always like, this guy, kwani periods zake ni, what type of periods are these she's having that other normal people aren't? And I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'd go around, ask hospitals, they'd be like, you're still on the pill? Yeah, don't stop that. Stay on the combined pill, the combined birth control. You're going to be fine. I find myself not being able to take it now. And I become very depressed because endo is now ruining my life. I can't seem to keep a job or be a very productive worker because I'm missing a week and a half or a week or some days of work every single time. I'm using up leave days like they're nothing in every job I go to. And I'm now starting to doubt myself. Like, what? Yeah, maybe they're right. What type of periods are these I having that are so abnormal I have to miss work? But even if I'm at work, I can't function. So I go to a hospital called Nazareth. Because I tell my mom I've been through all hospitals in Nairobi. They're telling me I'm going to be fine. But I'm not seeing myself becoming fine. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. As I told you, I was still having that dull pain. Just going through life with that dull pain. But around this time now, the dull pain on non-period days now becomes noticeable. I can now, it's moved from the back of my mind now to the front of my mind, and I can not stop thinking about it. I have a cat, so sometimes my cat would come and sit on my lap. If he poked my stomach even slightly, I'd be like, oh God, don't do that. It now turns into a sharp pain. And I'm still jobless around this time. So my mom tells me there's a mission hospital called Nazareth. Maybe you should try there. And for the first time ever, someone actually almost believed me. But this time he tells me, I also don't think it could be endo, but it could also be the combined birth control pill. Try go for a couple of months and don't take anything, and we'll see. I'm thinking, damn, so close. But even myself, because I asked this guy, how do you know it's not endo? And the guy's like, unajua vile endometriosis, do you know how bad endometriosis is? Why do you want to claim yourself with this illness? Wow, okay. I go to another very high-end hospital in this city. I tell the guy, listen, may suspect it's endo. Mind you, I'm begging people to do ultrasounds. The doctors are telling me you're too young. It can't be. It's just hormonal issues. One doctor, funny enough, tells me, like, what's going in your life? Are you stressed? I'm like, yeah, I can't seem to keep a job, I'm just having bad periods. And he's like, listen, women sometimes stress because it's bad periods. And I'm like, okay, can I just do an ultrasound? He's like, no, let me even give you something better. Writes me a recommendation for the counseling department. It's like, you go talk to them. I swear your periods will get better after that. I'm thinking, this is so ridiculous. And I've been dealing with male doctors not taking me seriously. So I'm just like, deep down, I know there's something wrong. It just needs a name. And I'm bouncing from place to place, not getting any diagnosis. I had even done pap smears to check if maybe it was HPV, maybe causing a sort of pelvic inflammatory disease. That was negative. I just needed a name. I just knew there was something wrong with me. And I'm bouncing from hospital to hospital. Any hospital you can imagine. Nairobi Women's, Nairobi Hospital. I've gone to Aga Khan. I've bounced. I think to myself, let me just start doing research. I've been trying to do research, but I'm thinking, no one wants to say it's endo. Even me, that they're telling me not to claim this illness. So now what do I do? And me and my mom talk, and we're like, let's just get a scan first. Let's start from there. So I go back to Nazareth and I get the scan. And they go like, wow, okay, you have a cyst. A pretty large cyst. And they feel around my belly, and the guy goes, yep. It's pushing out. So that dull pain I was feeling that turned into a sharp pain was just caused by the cyst. Growing and growing. So now that's when it goes from 0 to 100 real quick. They're like, surgery. I'm like, what? Hold up. Surgery for what? And they're like, we just have to remove the cyst and find out what's wrong with you. And I'm like, wow, okay. Finally, someone's listening to me.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. It's so powerful, and it's only part 1. Part 2 is going to be out next week on Monday, so make sure you subscribe wherever it is you're listening to this episode on so you do not miss out on it. Man, so much to address. Okay, in no particular order. Women, we are often forced to prove our pain before anyone believes it. And this has come out in research, guys. This has come out in research, and especially for Black women, it's almost assumed that we're not feeling pain. Or we're not being truthful about how intense the pain is. That's one. The other thing is, especially when it comes to our reproductive health and periods, etc., it is assumed that we need to be okay with pain. And so even when we say we're feeling pain, no one is taking it seriously because they're just like, that's part of this womanhood journey you're on. But it is not. It is not. And it's so frustrating when that happens. Like, when I think about my own journey, and I haven't experienced cramps that would keep me in bed, etc. And I know very many women, Keziah has talked about it, experience this. But even when I would say I'm cramping and I am in pain, the people around me wouldn't flinch. It was almost like, yeah, whatever. In fact, it's only recently, guys, I'm 37. This happened a couple of months ago. It's only recently. I was having pretty bad cramps, and I was with someone that I'm getting to know. And immediately I said it, he sprung into action, and he was just like, okay, I'm going to heat up a towel. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it was the first time I saw somebody spring into action. Immediately, I say, I'm feeling pain. Somebody acknowledging that, hey, something's wrong. I really hate how we've normalized pain. One, because it adds to the bigger conversation about, pain being at the core of womanhood, especially for African women, which I just think, no, whatever type of pain it is, we reject. Pain, struggle, no, right? That's one. But the second thing is also that it then delays us figuring out what's wrong. Because if you normalize pain, you're not checking for what's wrong. You're just like, oh, it comes with this thing I've been dealt because I'm a woman. No. And I mean it from not only you as a woman understanding that pain isn't meant to be part of your journey, but even like healthcare professionals, people around us, our community. The pain, please bring into action. It is not a normal part of womanhood to feel pain. And it's not like the more pain you endure, it's almost like, and this is also like physical pain and emotional pain, the more pain you endure as a woman, it's like, that makes her a good woman. No. No. Fuck that shit. Not anymore. You know what I mean? Oh my days. And even just like shame around periods. And I have a close friend who does incredible work in ending period shame and stigma, Janet Mbugua. And we've often been at events where either of us is on our period. And when she stands, she'll be like, hey, I'm on my period, just check that I'm okay. And I'll do the same. And I just love that we do that as adult women. Do you know why? When I was in high school, it was something to be embarrassed about if you stained your clothes. It was something that spoke to you not being a responsible young girl or woman if you stained your clothes. Like the problem was you, not how heavy your period was, not that your period just came out of nowhere, not that, hey, these things that we are given, like the sanitary products, are not foolproof, especially in Africa. We're not given like the best of the best, right? I know how, like, there's some jokes my friends and I will have that you could give your period acres of pads and it will still find its way onto your clothes, find its way onto like your bed sheets. And it's not a marker on how irresponsible you are or something to be ashamed about. It just, hey man, it's just one of those things, you know what I mean? And so hearing Keziah even talking about that, like, ah, when I was in high school, I stained my skirt so many times, and I just remember being so embarrassed and feeling like a failure, which is so sad. Luckily, when I was in high school, our school skirt was like this deep maroon. So you couldn't really like it was like camouflage. But you would just be so self-conscious and more than anything, it's the feeling like you are a failure. And I'm just like, women shouldn't have to feel that way for something that is beyond our control, bro. It really is beyond our control. And I just wish more people would stop shaming women for whatever comes with our period. Dude, we're exhausted as it is. Anyway, I feel we had a lot to get out of my system, but I want to know what you connected with when Keziah was talking and sharing her story in part one. Wherever it is you're listening to this, just drop your comments in the comment section. I love, love, love hearing from you. Remember to subscribe because next week, part two of her story comes your way. Another thing that I want you to do, if you have a story that you want to share on this show, all you have to do is fill out our storyteller form and one of our correspondents will get back to you. A link to it is in the show notes. Don't forget to check out Difference She Makes, our brand new show that I'm so proud of. It's our first show that is expanding into Nigeria and South Africa. Like, we've grown. We've really grown. Check it out on our YouTube every single Friday and share it out kindly. I would really appreciate that. And I'm so thankful that you've listened to this episode to the very end. I appreciate you, and I know that you have every single thing it takes to heal. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.